Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hey guys, welcome back to our show. I'm your host, John Harcar, and we're here today with Alan Rooster Vance, and we're going to talk about scaling through land. Remember, guys, here at Investor Fuel, we help real estate investors, service providers, all real estate entrepreneurs, 2 to 5x their business by providing tools and resources to help build the business you want to build, to live the life you've always dreamed of. I don't know if I call you Alan or Rooster, but I'm going to go Rooster. Welcome to our show.
Hey, when it's real estate, it's Rooster, baby.
Beautiful. I love it.
All about that branding.
Yeah. And I'm very, very interested to get into this topic about land and scaling through land. It's something that I've looked into before, and I know that, it's another way to make a lot of good income. But before we talk about all that, right, tell our audience a little bit about you, kind of where you came from, how you got into this game of real estate, and kind of what got you here.
Hey, I've been, in real estate about 10, 11 years as a whole, but it was kind of a rocky ride to get to land. I started out as an entrepreneur and owned a couple small businesses in my 20s and 30s. But by the time I got to my mid 30s, I was just scratching my head going, how to get out of this kind of 9-to-5 thing. And I decided to get into real estate. And as I was getting my real estate license, I found wholesaling. Well, it turns out I did a wholesale house deal before I even, passed the real estate exam, which I did pretty soon thereafter. But I just got pretty addicted to wholesaling. So I didn't do a lot of, retail realtor work, although I held a license for a few years. I did represent some clients, whatnot, but heavy in the house wholesaling. Got to a point to where I was flipping houses, had a little remodeling company here in Austin doing that. But a few years ago, I kind of hit another wall. I was a little bit burnt out on the houses and flipping. I didn't really, I didn't take the opportunity to scale it correctly, I think, when I could have. And so I started seeing some of my friends have a lot of success in land, and I'm from the country, and I'm like, hey man, I know land. They started talking about their land deals, and I understood all of it. I'm like, hey, you know what? I'm going to start looking into some land. So
Sure.
did a little bit of land marketing, wholesaled a few land deals, and never looked back. It's been 3 or 4 years. And, today what I want to talk about is how, the power of wholesaling to get you started, just like in houses and land, it can scale up, right? We went from wholesaling land for a couple of years to now we're closing on large rural acreage and we're subdividing it. We're raising money to do that. And we're having we're having a lot of fun doing it. And so, that's what I wanted to talk about today. My goal is to subdivide, 1,000 acres this year rurally, and into 10 and 20 acre tracts, right? So we've got investors that are buying notes at the table for us so that we're able to exit with seller finance in many cases. We've got my dispositions set up through my nocreditland.com and my TikTok and social media, driving a lot of traffic there. So we've got a special thing going with the Rooster Vance brand, and it really is a brand,
Sure.
People called me Rooster when I was younger, but when I decided to position myself in the land, I knew I wanted a strong brand. And so I was about to go Alan Vance, and then I kind of delete, Rooster, enter. and it kind of just happened like that. And it,
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
And so that's another thing I want to talk about in branding, taking a chance and being vulnerable, putting yourself out there on social media and really trying to be original has really helped me in my journey to really get a lot of momentum going quickly,
Okay. Yeah, so let's go back a minute. You said you had some other businesses and then you decided to get into real estate. Is there something specifically, maybe someone you knew, maybe influence from you, something that pushed you to real estate?
Yeah, when I was 18, before I went to college at Texas Tech, I actually took my real estate classes and thought about getting into real estate then. And it was because I had some very successful friends and their parents coming up where I grew up. They were in real estate, and I took notice of that very young,
Right.
But that same year, kind of 17, 18, I lost a brother and a father, right? And so this took me off of my path for 10 years. And so I know there's a lot of guys out there that feel like they're making up for lost time, right? Or they're, they wasted years of their life. And so this was me, but it wasn't anything that I could help. Looking back 10 or 15 years of my life, I was off path and I had to get myself back. And so for me, finding real estate again in my mid 30s, getting back on that track, and really starting to heal from things that I never healed from from those things that happened to me.
Right.
So my real estate journey and my kind of healing journey is intertwined. And I've shared that, in the last few years on social media, like I said, those vulnerabilities and just putting myself out there. And that's why I've been able, I think, to make a connection. And I've been blessed, with viral content on social media that's helped me pick up a big following. And so it's been a journey. But, I had to pick myself up and keep going so many times, but it was real estate that made sense. And I think all roads lead to real estate for everybody, because even if you make a ton of money in another industry, what do you do with it? Right.
Right.
You're back in real estate. And so at
do you
one
put
point,
it, do you put it in the market, or do you put it into real estate?
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it was real estate, and it was the only really way that I ever saw that I could build wealth, long-term wealth, generational wealth. I didn't see any other way.
Got it.
So here I am, in mid 40s now, and I've got a great thing going. But yeah, we all felt like we've been through the ringer. We've had to get back up and going again. That's one of the things with real estate and real estate investing. But if you stick with it, then it's always going to come. You're always going to come out on top. So,
right.
We got going in wholesaling. So.
Nice. Yeah, you said you did a wholesale without even knowing that you did a wholesale. Wait, tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was, I was taking my real estate classes, and I saw somebody on Facebook, some group in my town, and they put, I'm having a garage sale. I'm behind on my payments. I think I'm going to get foreclosed on, so I need to have a garage sale. She put that in for information I had. And I knew a little bit about wholesaling, and I knew that I was going to have my real estate license soon. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go talk to this lady. So I went to the garage sale, right? And I said, hey, I'm about to have my real estate license, but, I think I could help you sell this house. And I really didn't know what I was talking about. But she said, yeah, this is what I owe. Just straight up told me, this is what I owe. I need, if I can get some money to move and pay this off, right? I inherited this house and I can't afford it. I want to move to a smaller, cheaper house in another town. Perfect. Went home, ran the numbers, was green as hell, but I'm like, okay, I think that there's some money here. So I'm like on this Facebook, right? Investor Underground, Austin. It's this Facebook group. I joined it 12 years ago, which I'm a moderator and a good friend of the founder, Dan Castro, now. Mm-hmm. But back then, I joined the group. I post something. An agent from Net Worth Realty texted me. He said, hey, I'll help you walk it through it. I'll pay you $5,000 if it works out, and we'll get a deal under contract and I'll buy it. And that's what happened. We went over there the
Nice.
next day.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
Signed an assignment for $5,000 on the hood of his truck out front. He did a deal, and he probably made a lot of money, but I made $5,000, and they closed it in 2 weeks. And so now I'm in real estate, baby. I'm like,
I love closing contracts, signing contracts on hoods of cars, man. There's something about that, right? It's
that was my first one.
So did you do any traditional real estate deals?
After that, I represented a few clients. I ended up getting my license. Yeah, I represented some clients, bought several houses from new builders in the Austin area. There was kind of a new build boom. So I had a network of people that I've been around Austin for 20 years, right? And I'm from the area. So it wasn't hard for me to pick up a few clients. But, I didn't go out and start banging up marketing to farming a neighborhood or anything like that as a realtor. I didn't do that. I was kind of just picking up a client where I could, and then I was posting ads. This was 12 years ago or 11 years ago. So I was posting ads in like Craigslist, right? The house wanted. And if you were in Austin 12 years ago, I was the first guy that was just blanketing Craigslist, and these early Facebook garage sale and neighborhood groups, just nailing those. So I was always strong at acquisitions with no marketing, right? I got really good at that in the beginning. And so, I did that for several years until I got into flipping and flipped some houses. And then, I realized that I was making, you can make 15, 20 grand on a wholesale, or like, oh, I'm going to go make 60 or 80 on a flip. And then I'd go get hard money, maybe a guy to throw in the down payment and the cost. And by the end, you just make barely more than you would have if you'd have just wholesaled it, right? And so I was just, all right, I did about 6 or 8 flips. I'm like, I'm going back to just wholesaling. And then, the market was kind of shifty. And so to scale here, I don't want to do 10 deals a month. It wasn't my, I'm not a hustler. I'm a flow guy, right? And so I needed big deals. So I did some commercial, did some fourplexes in Austin, things like that. But it wasn't long, till I started noticing these land deals going on, and I got really interested. And just like when I started in houses, as soon as I kind of zeroed in on land, I started to wholesale little, 5 acre, 10 acre. And then I fell into a 2,000 acre deal that I wholesaled for several $100,000. And then that changed my outlook on everything, right? I was like,
How did you come across that deal?
Actually was mentoring a student at the time. That was before I started my, coaching and all of that. And I had him calling realtors and called a listing, and the agent just gave it to us. Just said, "Look, we'll take $1.5 million off the list price. It was 3.5, and they'll sell it for 2 because the heirs are fighting. It's 2,000 acres, out near Abilene. Like, who else is gonna, their other option was to auction it, and so." I think looking at it, they knew they were only going to get 2 million. So they went under contract with us, and it was funny because they needed a 20,000 earnest money, right? And I didn't have that cash in the bank at the time because I was still had another flip going, and I was, just moving cash. And so I told the realtor, I said, "Hey, I need a few days on that earnest money." He's like, "Look, I don't even care if you put the earnest money down. Just please close this thing as soon as you can." And I was like, "Thank you." And I went and got a contract, and I had a buyer in a week or so, an orthodontist that had a realtor, but the realtor was plugged into the wholesale network, right? They were shopping with cash. So the orthodontist came and picked up the place for 2.4 million. I paid the realtor 70 grand, the listing agent paid the listing agent all 6%. Right, he got like 140 grand, and then I paid the buyer's agent another 3%. And so I just made everybody happy. I spread the money around. I had the realtors working for me. Problems came up with the survey. Everybody's putting their heads together, and we got this deal to close. And took home $300,000 on a deal And so it changed the situation for me. And
That's
so
life changing. Yeah.
it's life changing, and I have a buddy.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
A good friend of mine whose second or third deal was an assignment on 100 acres outside of Austin, and he got it under contract for 10 million and assigned it for 12 and a half. $2.5 million on an assignment fee, because he sold it to a known investor that I believe was double closing to some foreign investor, right? And so they didn't even care. They let him make the 2.5 million. And so he retired with that on his third deal, but now he just invests. But anyway,
I can't blame him on
that's
that.
the power. That's the power of land. I haven't seen it anywhere else. The land is kind of equivalent to doing large commercial,
Yeah.
but with none of the underwriting, none of the headache, and none of the skill. Like simple fellers like old Rooster can figure it out, baby.
Yep.
And so that's why I love it.
Were there any specific challenges that you faced when you made that transition from wholesaling, flipping to land?
Yeah, there was a little bit, but I had a mentor next to me. I had a mentor, and and so it happened pretty quickly, right? When you have a mentor, it happens really quickly. And so I believe in that. I've spent probably over 40-50 thousand on education in the last 4 years,
Mm-hmm.
and some of it wasn't any good, but others, which weren't even the most expensive ones, ended up changing my lives, right?
Mm.
My life. So it's all about, education and mentorship can fast track you, and that's why I offer a lot of my
Sure.
students, because I've seen it working. I've seen it. It changed my life. Wholesaling changed my life. And then the mentorship into land and then into subdividing land has absolutely changed my life, and so believe in it very, very strongly. But yeah, so we wholesale, we did some deals like that, and then I start, you do a few land deals, a couple of big ones like that, and most of them you're making 20, 40, 50 grand, right? But these
Mm-hmm.
are easy deals. Didn't even have to go look at it. There's no structures to inspect. You just send the buyers, have them drive by, send them to Google Earth, right? This can be
Right.
done very virtually,
Right.
um, but so we started to sell a lot of deals. And 2023 we killed it. We because that's when I really had my kind of blow up and viral stuff that blew up with Rooster Vance, and we killed it in 2023. And then 24 slowed down some, but it wasn't. It was for the market, but that was just because we were green, and I only had one method of doing business, right? So we spent
Mm-hmm.
2024 kind of widening, our ability to do deals, our strategies, and now we're using creative, finance to finance deals to subdivide them. We're partnering with landowners. We're pre-selling lots. We're not closing on this 100 acres for 4 months, and by the time I close on it, I'm going to have half the lots, a deposit on half the lots. And
Yeah.
so it's we use pre-sales and a lot of creative finance, and we're able to pay on it. We're able to pay the seller a lot more. They become our
Sure.
partner, right? And
Yeah.
so they get that investor money too, and so it makes sense for them. And from the very get go, land is a seller finance friendly space. Historically, over the last 100 years, since the beginning of our nation, in fact,
Right.
land has been purchased primarily through seller financing. It's only
Mm-hmm.
in the last, 50, 60 years that really institutions started creating more products for land, and still they're hard to get to for some people, right? They require 680 and up credit, if not 720 or more sometimes, and 20% down in a lot of cases, right? And so
Right.
so subprime is a great place for land. We get a lot of action on seller financing our tracks. And so once we started to subdivide this land, we had to figure out, okay, we need to sell these tracts faster. They can't all be cash deals, so we need to be able to finance. So the next bottleneck, the next piece of the puzzle was going to find the guys that were going to buy the notes at the table, because we can't
Mm-hmm.
back notes for 20 years, right? So
Right.
once we put those pieces of the puzzle together, now we're buying, in bulk at wholesale, breaking it down to or at least double the price per acre with only surveys. We're not platting anything because we're staying above 5 and 10 acres depending on the
Sure.
county, and we're not building roads, right? And so in our acquisitions, we're looking for that needle in the haystack, the ones that are very easy to just survey up into smaller parcels, double the price per acre, go do a creative seller finance deal to let us not have to close on it for a few months, and or even 6 months, get some pre-sales. That way we can reduce our basis by half when we
Right.
close on it. And now we've got, now we're in $1 million deal for 500,000, or and we're already halfway through the deal. So it's been really fun, kind of putting the pieces and building this machine,
Mm-hmm.
and and it's working. So it seems now that we've got the seller financing part, it's very recession proof. It's
Where did you learn the seller finance part? I mean, is it just through trial and error? Did you take a
yeah.
course? Did you, find a mentor for it?
Yeah, that was mentorship, but it through somebody who offered a course. But because I was wholesaling them some deals, I watched them do it, and I said, "Hey, right."
Uh,
And so naturally, I'm selling him deals, and so it became, "Hey, look, bring me the deal. Just give me the contract. I'll give you something up front, and then I'm going to give you the back end on each lot, this much percent." So now we're like, "All right, now that was my first step from
mm-hmm.
wholesaling to doing a subdivide, was simply bringing the contract and handing it over without marking it up, running the numbers with the end buyer, and then deciding, hey, I'm going to give you 35 grand at closing, and then 10 lots. They're going to be 100,000 each. I'm going to give you 4% of each of those. So that's another 40,000 on the back end, right? And we're going to do
Right.
this. We're going to do this in 120, 150 days, And so, okay, if I can send just that one, whole that one partner, I can send him a deal every month for my acquisitions, then I'm going to make 30 grand up front and maybe 30, 40 grand on the back end, right? And so there's
Mm-hmm.
50 to 80 grand on these deals, right? And so one of those a month, that's $1 million, and I'm not even operating the subdivide, right?
Mm.
I
Yeah.
make commercials for them because I do the influencing, right? I make the marketing and put out the ads and drive the traffic. But on the other hand, I've put together, and I did the acquisitions company the same way, because they're all my students, right? So we take students, train them, create an acquisitions company, give them leads, bring in leads, put contracts on properties, and then either close them or send them to a partner who's going to give us a cut. And so
Nice.
that's how I've automated it.
Nice.
And I'm not the only guy that's done that. There's people doing similar variations.
Have you felt any impact from, I mean, like the way we've had the economy the last couple of years? I know, like in traditional
Yeah.
residential real estate, flipping and all that stuff, there's obviously been, a little bit of impact, but in the land, has
Mhm.
is it had the same effect?
It's had an effect, definitely, but what it's done is it's shift the focus of the product that is moving, right? And so, yes, retail sales of high-end builder lots are like crickets.
Mm-hmm.
You've got builders going in wanting to do affordable building. So you can move these lots. The hottest thing right now in Texas is a $50,000 builder lot in DFW, right? You could sell that 50, 60 grand. Like, that's what's selling. That's selling big time. And that's in most of the major areas. But your
Sure.
development land, these entitlement plays, these ones that take 18 months, 2 years, the development money had all but dried up, literally, unless it was 50 cents on the dollar, so they could hold it for a couple of years and then do the deal, right? And so,
Right.
but we did see a shift of land bankers. They're going to pick up land when it's down, right? And so we do see buyers buying to hold the land, but they're coming in at pretty, their prices are pretty low, and so we're having to try to match big deals to those, and we're having to probably, go through twice as many leads to get a deal done as we did in 2023, for sure. But what I was saying earlier is the rural subdivides is a little more recession proof, especially when you have seller financing to exit, is because people are always buying land if the monthly payment makes sense for them.
Right.
The pride of land ownership, especially in Texas, is very real. And so by offering seller financing and subprime financing, no credit check or low credit check options, we really, we offset the amount of customers we lost at the retail level due to the market shifting down. We offset that by almost more by just giving more people the opportunity to buy land when they wouldn't normally be able to. So now we just
Sure.
had to shift our business model there. So I would
Okay.
say that certain spaces in land have definitely slowed down. Um, but we've kind of, we've gravitated towards what's working for us, and we know that when the market comes back around, that what we're doing now is going to explode and be incredibly successful because we've got it dialed in during a slow market.
Is there, just for any folks that might be listening that, maybe have some land
Mhm.
leads, maybe they're marketing to or something, is there any specific criteria that you look for in the land that
Mhm.
you want to purchase?
Well, myself, I like uh, 30 to 150 acres myself. You can sell these out pretty quick in a few months with our methods. Stuff over that's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit longer money, but I have buyers for that, and I work with a very large buyer of those. So we're looking from anything from 30, 40 acres all the way up to 5,000 acres, because
Okay.
if it's not for me, I know where to take it, right? And so if you're in Texas and you've got large rural acreage or development land, and you want to help, underwriting a deal or doing a deal or JVing, I do that for a lot of people, right? People bring me deals and I'll get them sold. Just anything. I'm always willing to collaborate. I don't believe
Nice.
that, competition is really a thing. I like to collaborate, and the land game, there's a lot of guys that is like I said, it's more of a flow than a hustle state, right? It's a little bit in our side of the land, it's a little bit bigger deals, right? And that's where you want to be. I wanted to 10x my real estate business, not by adding a zero to the number of deals I was doing a month, but adding a zero in front of the decimal of the deal I was doing a month. Simply 10x my business, right?
Yeah.
So,
What advice would you give to someone that wants to get into doing land, wholesaling land, whatever?
mhm. I think that wholesaling is a great place to start, especially for those that don't, if you don't have capital, wholesaling is the way to go. You can really learn land wholesaling in a matter of days or weeks. I offer a program that's inexpensive. I offer, a higher ticket mentorship for some, but most of my education happens in my entry level course, and I specialize in helping people get started in land wholesaling. And so, no matter what you want to do, maybe you have $1 million and you want to go buy a subdivide, you still need to learn how to buy it at wholesale, right?
Mhm.
Just because you have money doesn't mean you should pay more for a property, right? You should shop for property like a wholesaler at all times. And once you have a contract created that's wholesalable, consider closing on it yourself. But never negotiate a contract knowing you have more money or would pay more than a wholesaler would do sitting in your shoes at that moment. And that's been my
Right.
secret, right? So I think that regardless of what space you want to come into for land, you need to learn acquisitions, because that's where everything starts, right? So just get some training, get a mentorship.
Mhm.
YouTube University has it. I do well. That's the thing. The education's everywhere. You can learn land on YouTube. You can learn it all on YouTube. People come to me because they like my flavor, they like my
Right.
delivery, they like my style, right?
Yep.
I wear
Yep.
my heart on my sleeve. I admit my mistakes. I'll tell them I effed up. I'll tell them, hey, last week what I told you in class was wrong. I'm gonna try this instead. Right? Nobody's perfect. We're all on a journey. I'm not at the end of the road saying, when I'm teaching, saying, hey guys, come to me. I'm just a little bit up further ahead of the road saying, hey guys, let's go. Right. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
that's my approach at mentoring. I do it in real
Okay.
life, and it's what I was actually making videos on social media that went viral, and people started saying, teach me, teach me, teach me. This was 2 years ago. And I said, well, I guess I'll put together a class, and so I never came to the market intending on coaching or mentoring, at any scale or professionally. It was simply me meeting demand, I guess,
Yep.
but it's become something that I've been passionate about because I've seen so many of my students change their lives like I changed mine. So um,
I
it's
love
been
it.
good. It's been good. Yeah.
I love it. I love your story. I love your flow. You're just laid back. You seem with that some of this
Just
have fun, just kick back and chilling, man.
man,
Um,
I've really been through the ringer too. I can't sit here and tell you I've been down in the darkest depths for longer than most people who are having a real hard time getting into wholesaling or real estate.
right.
I have, like I said, and when I was young, I had went through those traumatic experiences that didn't fix for 15 years in my life, right? And so I've been in the depths, in the darkness, and I fought my way out of it. And the only way, you just got to keep, it's taken me longer to become successful than most people in real estate. But
Mm,
I can stand here and say you keep getting back up and doing it again and learning from your mistakes, no matter what, and
sure.
uh, and having faith, baby. That's how we do it.
I love it, man. Rooster, thank you so much for being on the show
Yeah,
today and talking about land.
yeah,
If folks want to get in touch with you, here's your chance. Plug your
yeah.
website. Plug your coaching. How can they reach out and learn
Sure.
more?
I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook group you can join, Flipping Land with Rooster Vance. And I'm on Facebook and Instagram as my personal page. You can find me at Rooster_Vance, Instagram Rooster_Vance. And TikTok is where I have a lot of fun and I act real silly. So if any of y'all have a TikTok, find me on there because I'm the oldest idiot on TikTok. And
Mm,
no, it's silly. At Ranchlander, kind of like the Highlander, the Ranchlander,
Ranch Lender. Okay.
is my TikTok page, and we do have a lot of fun on there. Now, I had a
Awesome.
YouTube page, a great YouTube page going, but my ex-business partner, when we broke up, he deleted all of that and all of my content, and so we haven't
Bummer.
gotten our YouTube back going again. But like I said, we find out you need anything from me. I also sell land on financing. NoCreditLand.com has links to my education. You can see the land I sell, all the land that we've subdivided. We're selling cash or financing. And again, there's a portal there where if you're a wholesaler, you could submit a property for me to potentially JV with you. Or if you're an investor interested in investing in land, investing in our deals that's backed by Texas Land at a great loan to value, shoot me a message through there, guys.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you again, man.
Yeah.
Guys, I hope you guys got some good information on this. I took some good nuggets and some good notes. Um, Land is something that I know some folks that do very well in, and
Yeah.
it's a great segment within our real estate industry. So everybody, I hope you guys had a good show. I know I did, and I'll see you all in the next one. Cheers.
Y'all have
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.